what is interesting is, as a marketer, right? If you're a marketer, you're going to have all three of these guys working for you, and this is the key thing, right? Because you want the big data platforms, you want the small data to give that, to color that consumer profile, right? All the coloring, because in reality, media events are not going to paint that picture. That's what Susan just described, and it's all coming together. But how does it work? As a practitioner, I'll let Alan give a use case around what he does.
Thank you. Okay, so it's interesting. So in summary, we talked in this panel about big data, smart data. I think Susan and Kantar, it's interesting, is it called, is it first, second, and third party and fourth party data? We don't know. Maybe it's a great discussion topic for tonight. So what I'm going to close it out with here is, okay, we have all these different data sets. How do we make use of them in a programmatic channel to better activate against consumers to reach our audiences? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a product that we have. It's a consumer persona product. Before I do that, I'll just quickly say I work for a company called Digilant. I'm actually in month 2, so it's a new position for me. I'm really excited to be here. And Digilant is global media, digital data activation programmatic provider. We're mainly in Europe, US, and Latin America. Okay, so on the consumer persona side, we've built a product that essentially what we're trying to do is kind of solve a couple problems that we see in the marketplace today to reach consumers in programmatic channels. The first is, I think companies like Facebook did a great job of kind of educating people on consumer personas and lookalike models, and we've talked a little bit about that today. What we've tried to do is try to build more data-rich personas that take upwards of hundreds of segments across 50 data sources to build personas that encompass first, second, and third-party data sets. And in these data sets, the personas are dynamic, meaning that I could live in multiple personas. During the day, I could be a B2B business persona. At night, I'm a consumer persona that is a hobbyist in a sports activist or something like that. So we've kind of tried to make the idea behind a persona as dynamic, and both in terms of who you are and where you could live within a persona, but also as our data scientists have built algorithmic models to dynamically change where you might live within personas over time as we learn more about you. The second thing, I think it's interesting because we have a very analytical group in the room here, so I think when we talk about things like personas or building models to act against programmatic channels, I think it's a little bit more easier for all of us to understand than when we go back to our home base, especially for those of you who work at brands or in agencies. When we go back to our home base, we have to speak to the entire marketing department or the entire group about these types of topics. One of the things that we're trying to do is build a better visualization model and user interface so that it makes it more understandable so that more marketers can use these type of technologies and these type of applications to reach consumers. And then last but not least, when we go out in programmatic channels, what we're trying to do is use our model to better understand and match the data sets that the SSPs have against the data sets that we've built in these personas to optimize against them. For someone who has a search and social background for the last 7 or 8 years, and even for the programmatic channels, there's a lot of different ways you can skin the cat when you're trying to optimize against a campaign. We believe that the consumer persona, now that we have all the data sets we've been talking about the last couple of days and we bring them together, we believe a consumer persona model is just yet another way, a unique way that works to better reach specific types of consumers in segments. Maybe this will not be as helpful in the future when first-party data is more readily available, and in the future that will be the golden key. But my experience, having worked with Fortune 500 companies the last few years, and just having come from a previous agency where we had about $1 billion in spend, is I can say that most of the brands we work with, didn't really have the ability to use first-party at scale yet. So I think of the consumer persona model and optimization technique as a bridge to reaching unique segments that are very richly populated until we get to a more first-party world. I was going to go through a case study, if I can, there we go. Oh, there we go. I was going to go through a case study, but I think all of you have some information on Digilant. There's a couple of white papers on and case studies on the consumer persona product. I will show this because it shows a little bit, and it's supposed to be which is not working. It's supposed to be a video file that shows a little bit of what the persona wheel looks like and what the product actually looks like. So we won't go through that today, as we only have a few minutes left. We want to get to some questions, but I'll just ask all of you to think about consumer personas in your optimization techniques for digital media campaigns. Oh, is it moving? It was. All right, you get the picture.
Yeah.